live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
All right, here's the money shot today, y'all.
Yeah. This one's gonna take us.
So just sit back, chill out, get you something to drink, popcorn, because this one's gonna be a minute.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
For anybody who's either not a sports fan or you've been under a rock, perhaps, for the last week or so. Sunday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I can't even remember what quarter it was. Was it third? I remember sitting third quarter. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game because you all know that I live in Florida in the Tampa Bay viewing area. So of course, those are the games that I get to see. Happy, joy. Tampa Bay is playing, and third quarter, just out of the blue, you hear they blow the whistle, stop play. And it's like, well, nobody called a timeout. You hear the commentators because they're confused, like what's happening. And then you see the camera go to Antonio Brown. And at this point, he has taken his shirt off and is pulling his gloves off, throwing all of this into the stands. They're in New York, right? Weren't they playing the Jets? Yes,
they was in New York.
New York playing. And so he had taken his pads and his jersey off. And at this point, what we see is he's taking this off, and he proceeds in the middle of the game to run across the end zone to leave the field. As he does all this, letting the fans know, bye, I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. At the moment this happened, I was confused. But the commentators were very, what is the word that I want to use? Condescending?
Yeah.
Judgmental. Using words, saying things like, this is the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen. How could he do this? I've never seen anything like this. He's done. This is da 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 da. This, they gave him a shot. Like, it was all of that. Of course, this went viral immediately, and people had their own opinions. The first version of what they thought occurred was he was angry because he was like, he had 3 incentives on the line that pretty much would have given him $1 million.
Right.
So that was the first thought. He's mad because he's not in the game and he's gonna not get his $1 million.
Right.
That was the first one. Second thing comes out, maybe, what was that, Wednesday? Tuesday, about him being injured.
Yeah.
And the preceding 2 days, he had pretty much attempted to validate his point by showing text messages and other things to kind of let people know, no, I really was hurt. I am hurt. And that's why I didn't want to go back into the game. And the Bucks have rebutted all of this with, it wasn't that he was hurt, because his insinuations look bad for the Bucks. That they wanted him, he says his ankle, he got like bone spurs that are literally in his ankle. Just talk about throw up in your mouth. Bone spurs that are in his ankle. And so they hurt really bad. And so he said they had shot him up with something really strong. And by this time it's third quarter and he just could not go anymore. That was his take. and that that Bruce Arians was trying to force him allegedly to go into the game anyway. And him telling him no, he told him to get out. So they come back and say they didn't know he was hurt. They had no knowledge of him being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I think, I mixed it up. That's when he came out with the proof, like, these are the text
I knew I was hurt.
messages.
Yeah.
This the text messages with you, coach. Not some random person who might not have told you. This was me and you.
Mm-hmm.
And the latest is back to, it's about money.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last thing the Bucks came back out and said. This was just him angry again about his incentive. Well, he came out again, right?
Well, so
rebut to that.
Yesterday, what it was is, and they put out the money thing to kind of prove their point. But yesterday, what it was is that no, we did know of AB's ankle injury.
Now you want it
prior, they knew of AB's ankle injury, but he did get shot up before the game. But during the game, he didn't go to the trainers and say, hey, my ankle's injured, in the way that you would have to do it for protocol's sake. So when Bruce Arians came back to say something to him about the ankle or about going into the game, he didn't have the prior knowledge of, hey,
being hurt.
I'm injured from the athletic training staff. Because usually what happens is you go over to the trainers, you say, hey, they look at your ankle, like, what's going on with that? You feeling some pain, this, that, and the third. And then they go and relate that information to the head coach, and then they say that you're out, or like that they're going to try to work on it, see if you can come back in.
Right.
Any of that. AB didn't do all of that. And so the story that came out yesterday, and I actually kind of believe this one.
Mm-hmm.
The full picture coming together makes sense to me now. They say that AB at halftime was irate because he wasn't getting the amount of targets that he had gotten the week before.
Mm-hmm.
Usually he's at about 6 targets by halftime. I think he was somewhere around 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so he only had a couple catches. And so he was upset. And so they say that he kind of flipped on Tom Brady and was like, oh, you going back to your boy Gronk now.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came out at halftime, he made the decision, well, since y'all not going to throw me the ball, I'm out. My ankle hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't go to the trainers. And that's how it gets into Bruce Arians' hand when he comes back and says, like, hey, we just called your grouping. Like,
right.
why you not going out there?
Right.
And so this is what Bruce Arians says. Bruce Arians says that AB's response is, I mean, y'all ain't throwing me the ball no way, so I'm out. Mm-hmm. And so Bruce Arians' response is, oh, well, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he throws them out.
Okay.
That story right there to me is plausible.
Okay.
Given his some of his blow-ups in Pittsburgh and what we see with him, kicking over the Gatorade thing and going at Ben and saying like, hey, you're not getting me enough targets. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that he'll just quit on his team, but I do think that he'll get upset about the amount of balls that's getting thrown his way, especially seeing as Chris Godwin just went out with an injury a couple of weeks ago. Right. And it's like, hey, I'm supposed to be the guy now. You're not getting me the ball. Mm-hmm. And so this story, out of all of the stories that I've heard, makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. Because he blew up y'all whole money thing too.
Yeah.
Because your agent said they already had agreed to give him the money, so it didn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man. So, and that was the thing, that the money thing that you were talking about is that he had $2 million worth of incentives that was left on his contract for the rest of the year. He said that he went to the organization to ask them, could that money just be guaranteed as opposed to him having to hit those benchmarks to get it. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, when that came out, the organization said that they told him no, that he would have to hit those benchmarks.
Okay, well, maybe that's what I missed, but I thought they had said yes. I thought they had agreed to the guarantee. But maybe I missed it. Yeah. But either way, y'all see this is all a big old messy mess, right?
Yeah.
This is a big old messy mess. And I agree with one thing that the commentator said. It was unprofessional.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, the part that it was unprofessional. The way you handled all of this we're just going to assume that the story that you just told, which seems to be the most plausible, is what happened.
Yeah.
From the locker room on through, seems very unprofessional. But I'll tell you one thing that I find weird about the part about him blowing up at Tom in the locker room and him acting the way that we have seen him act in the past is I vividly remember seeing this before the start of the half. He was sitting on the bench. I don't know who was sitting next to him. Tom Brady walked past. He stopped. He looked at him. And it was like he said, "You ready?" I read AB's lips and said, "I got you. I got you."
Oh, he said, "I got you." Okay.
I got you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to believe.
And that's the hard part. And that's the thing. I said that I was in the, my group chat. I was in the group chat talking about this. And when it first came out, I thought it was like, like what's going on with him for him to do something like that. And so instead of like kind of, piling on like the rest of the people were doing, there was a bit of compassion that I felt for like, okay, like it's all right, it's cool to troll him and I get it, like, all right, like AB being AB again, but like something's wrong and we need to get this dude some help. And then when the next story came out about like, he just wouldn't go back in the game and they didn't talk anything about the ankle injury and anything like that. It's like, all right, this feels incomplete, but like what's going on here? And then when AB side, what he said came out with the text messages and stuff like that, I'm like, are they trying to use his past against him in order for them to get off something shady? And then when the rest of this comes out, the thing that makes me really believe this is the things that makes me believe this part of the story is that I think that anonymously, some of the players in that locker room, had AB been well within his right with the decisions that he's made, they would have come out anonymously and said something. The fact that they've come out anonymously and kind of confirmed the reports of the blow up at halftime is the damning part of this to AB for me.
Okay. And I don't even that. Okay, so we had this conversation the day that this happened, and what you just said was you felt compassion, right?
Yeah.
So I said to you in the moment in the moments after it happened, how heavy I felt.
Yeah.
Like never before have I felt that heavy about somebody I don't personally know. And I said, well, I don't know. I feel like I need to do something. And you suggested DM him.
Yeah. Reach out to him.
Reach out to him. So that's what I did. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what the actions on the field came from, whatever string of events led up to that happening, what happened, I said it was unprofessional, and it was, but it was also very telling of something deeper than what was happening on that field, in my mind, deeper than what was happening on the field. There is, and I've said this every single time we talked about this man, I'd be mad at him for some of the stuff he does and be
Mhm.
like, why are you acting? What are we doing? But at the end of the day, the one consistent thing I've said is he needs help.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to stand by that he needs help.
Right.
Every time I look at him, it reminds me of Brandin Marshall before going to get help.
Right.
It makes me full just thinking about this. And so when I was working with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the things that they always said was, there may be players who feel more comfortable coming to you as a coach first, because you don't have psychiatrists or psychologists or therapists or a counselor behind you. You know what I mean? That they'll feel more comfortable just because you're a coach. They might feel more comfortable coming to you first. And so the reason I reached out to him was for that point, right? If you don't want to deal with that stigma that right now, right? And you just need somebody to kind of help you navigate where you are and get to a place where that is maybe the decision that you make, that you get the help you need, I would be willing to be that person.
Yeah.
And I was dead serious. Like, and I told you, and when you sent me the tweet, I said, should I send something this way? And you were like, why not? And so I went and I fixed, because my DM was much longer than the tweet. But the tweet I sent, I kind of had to stay within the parameters of what you have to in order to send one. And the responses from people the trolling was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I never responded to any of those people because I know where my heart was.
Right.
When I said what I said, and I meant what I meant.
Right.
I'm not going to judge a man based on his actions when I feel and I know in my heart and my spirit that something is wrong. How do I judge that?
Right.
How do I put myself in this place that I'm perfect when I'm not? So for all of those people who were, having something to say like, oh, we're not assuming anything. You're assuming because you don't know the whole story. First of all, we don't know exactly what happened. And second of all, we don't know what's going on with him.
Right. We're all
as
speculating
a
based
being,
off of the information.
not the football player, the person. And so I'm going to stand by what I say.
And that's why, it don't even make sense for you to respond to them, because
to
most of those people who were responding to you or tweeting to you or anything like that only care about Antonio Brown, the football player, and not the man. And so,
absolutely, absolutely. And I just really was. So for me personally, watching this it's funny the way that I put it in our notes, right? Is a money dispute, injury, or a cry for help? Yeah. He may not know it. He may not understand it, but I see it as a cry.
And that's why I encourage you to reach out to him, because he may not respond. You know what I'm saying? It just may be the seed that needs to be planted for him to say, even if it's 2-3 years from now, maybe I do need to get some help. Yeah, for sure. And it don't have to be me. I don't care. That was the other thing that was kind of the undertone of a lot of the responses, was that because he's rich, of course you want to help him. Like, make sure you get your money up front. And that's why none of them know you, and they don't know what you do, you know what I'm saying, or what you have done with athletes. And so that's why stuff like that is like, you want to fight against all of this stuff that they're saying, and you know what I'm saying, but it's like at a certain point they don't know who you are. They don't know. That's what I said. I'll let y'all have that because you don't know me. I was not offended at all. I was just like, y'all funny. Yeah. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with that man's money. It really, yeah. Anyway. But that's the thing, for someone to say that about you means that they don't know who you are. So, so I will say this on our podcast again, Antonio Brown, I am here.
if you need someone to, I know you say you got a good, I've read something where he said he feels like he has a good support system around him, and that may or may not be true. It may be good for you because they go along with you. I'm not saying that's what the case is, but that may be why it feels good to you. Sometimes you need somebody who's not going to just go along to get along, somebody who's going to tell you the truth. And if anybody knows me, they know I don't know how to do nothing else.
Right.
So I would carefully, compassionately, and lovingly be a person that you can trust and depend on to help you to do what you need to do to get yourself in a better space. Just because I can't even, like, I think why I felt so heavy is I feel his turmoil internally. There is internal turmoil that he doesn't even talk about, that he doesn't feel comfortable saying to anybody. He wants to put on the facade, and it's the face for me. Like, immediately every tweet you showing is you smiling and hanging out. That's a, ooh, anyway, I'm sorry. Whoo, yeah, I'm gonna let that go. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. So if you can see, feel, understand that it's genuine coming from me, and you reach out, please do. We'll give you the contact information at the end of the show. And you can hit me up any one of those ways you want to. I reached out to you on Twitter and IG. You can hit me up either one of those places as well. The Advantage Coach, that was me. So yeah.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.